Welcome to Shells After Dark Archives, the podcast where the veil between the known and the unknown is lifted. I'm your host Shell, and I'm here to guide you through the shadows of the supernatural. Here, we dive into chilling stories, unexplained mysteries, and real-life encounters with the paranormal. But this isn't just about storytelling, it's about the people behind the experiences. From ghost hunters to psychic mediums, UFO researchers to cryptid trackers, I'll be sitting down with those who dare to explore the strange and unusual. So, whether you're a skeptic, a believer, or just curious, get ready to embrace the unknown.
Turn off the lights, settle in, and prepare to journey into the After Dark archives.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the After Dark Archives. And today I am joined by Charlie, who is a member, founder, co-founder, right?
Yeah, co-founder's fine, yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember whether it was founder or co-founder of Midnight Paranormal. And you also have your own podcast, which is called the Darkness Unveils.
Yeah.
Hello, Charlie.
Hi, how are you?
We got there in the end. Just for everyone listening, I messed up about 20 times before we started this and couldn't even remember the name of my own podcast. So We're doing well. We started off really well. You might get an outtakes episode at some point.
Yeah.
So, Charlie, thank you for being here. I was on your podcast, so I felt it was only right that I have you on as a guest of mine.
Oh,
so, welcome. So what I want to do is, as I always do, is start from the very beginning. How on earth did you get into this crazy world of the paranormal?
To be fair, I wasn't really a believer at all. I never really took much notice of it as well, if you get what I mean. You know, most people like, paranormal out there, skeptic, whatever. And it just so happened that my mother-in-law, she saw an event on for Christmas, so she bought me and Roxanne a ticket, and we went along. And to be fair, the night was pretty quiet, and as we were told by the guy who was leading the event, was that if we take pictures and snap 3 at a time, so you got one in the beginning, one in the middle, one in the end, so you can compare. And lo and behold, I captured what I thought I captured is like an apparition. Now this was back in Stanley Palace in Chester, and up in the back room in the gallery, there's like a room to the back. There used to be a little stage on there, and I was lying down on the stage, and for some reason I just felt so relaxed, and it was a case of, just take a picture. So I was just lying on my side, and I just went bang, 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 and it's almost like a silhouette of either like a woman in a gown, like a hooded gown, or it's like a monk in a monk's gown. Not, you can't quite define it as, but you can define like a figure of this, and it comes from like a light anonymity. Anonymity. See you again. Anonymity.
The words always get you. I don't know why paranormal words are always so like hard to pronounce.
And you can see where it starts and then where it then goes into a figure. And that was a bit strange to me, I suppose, at first, a bit weird. So I showed the guy who was running the event, and he was like, wow, mate, you've just captured something brilliant. But to me, I didn't really understand it back then at that point. So I was like, all right, great. And he was like, can you send it over to me? And I was like, yeah, that's fine. And then I think it was more of my mother-in-law that we got into more and more. So then we started just going on to different investigations, and yeah, it's led from there. But then now when I look back from like when I was a child and that, you kind of see like things that have happened that you wouldn't quite think were paranormal back then, if you know what I mean, because you're a child, etc. So yeah, it's a bit of a strange one, but no, that to get into the paranormal, it was back then, 10, 11 years now.
Wow, so you've been in it a pretty long time.
Yeah.
Compared to, well, I say that, I'm 40, so yeah, I know, I don't look it. Thanks, everyone. They'll be like, oh God, switch off. I say that I've only been I've been investigating since probably near enough this time last year, but I have been kind of experiencing stuff for like 40 years.
Yeah.
So I always say like, well, I haven't been doing it for that long, but I guess really I have been like
Yeah.
experiencing it for a very long time. I just haven't been like actively investigating it for a long time. So you've been, investigating for a hell of a long time. So you must have, well, done so many investigations in that time.
Yeah, there's been a lot of places over the country, a lot of different locations, some fantastic buildings, and some of the experiences that we've had have been only what you could describe as that would only happen if you're very rarely lucky. But then you also discount the smaller things that happen, which a lot of people just tend to think, oh, that's not much. But when you think back in reality, it's amazing what you capture just from the little things to even such the big things as capturing an apparition.
Yeah. I mean, what would you classify as like the smaller things?
Smaller things, a knock, a tap to a
Yeah.
response. Don't get me wrong, I don't go into buildings and go, oh, I just heard a knock, that's definitely paranormal. Because it's not, because you've got to think rational. I always have that mentality of skepticism behind me, no matter what we do. Even as a team with Roxanne and Katie did exactly the same. I'd probably say she's witnessed a lot over the years, but she's still a very, very big skeptic. And like we're kind of, unless we're there to see it, it's kind of hard to believe it. But I think that's the same for every paranormal investigator. You watch something, you think, oh, that's amazing, but is it actually happened?
Yeah.
Just going for the smaller things like the knocks, that are on response. When you ask a question and you get that reply, then tend to ask that question again and again. If you get that reply again, knocks, they're amazing. I think people discount that because it's just a knock and you want massive bangs, or you want to see something thrown, or and sometimes it doesn't happen.
Yeah. I think some people have that whole, I mean, before I really started to get into things, I always was so scared of because of movies and things like that. I immediately thought that if I went into a haunted building, chairs would be flying. You'd see like people walking around that were dead, and horrible things would happen to you. But it's nothing like that at all. I actually think that the more I investigate, the more skeptical I'm kind of becoming, which is really weird considering I'm such a massive believer of like the spirits and the afterlife. But I don't know. I'm in this weird period where the more I do it, I think it's because I've had so much evidence when I was younger that I closed it off such a long time that I'm kind of wanting that same experience
Yeah,
as when I was younger, but I can't get it. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, nothing's happening. Okay,
yeah,
I'll go home. But then I obviously have those weird premonitions that are like bang on, and I can't like explain them. I don't know where they come from or
yeah.
what's going on. But I'm just, I think, the more I do it, the more I'm kind of getting into this weird space where I'm like, I want something really like definitive to happen
Yeah.
so that I can be like, I didn't make things up when I was younger. I think that's what it comes down to.
Almost trying to like validate your own experience.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good way of putting it. That's kind of, what I would say is happening.
Yeah.
But I imagine when it does actually happen, I'm going to run out of the building in tears and be like, I'm never investigating a building ever again.
Yeah.
You might be there to witness it in person when it happens.
Yeah. But no, it's brilliant like that. Like, I'm probably my own victim of that because I'm always wanting more. And don't get me wrong, I've witnessed a lot of stuff over the years. I've seen some dark stuff and some really good stuff, and positive energies, dark energies, and I've been affected as well in the past when I've been to certain locations, and it's sometimes it's not nice, but then it's the thrill of it, it's the buzz of it, it's the rush, and now that I do paranormal events as well, it's kind of like now I'm watching and getting excited to see people's reaction if we get anything.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a shame because like there's been some places where we've been and nothing's happened until like the last half an hour of the night. And then there's been sometimes nothing's happened, but then when we reviewed back the footage, we've captured quite a bit. And I think that's amazing when you don't realize you've caught anything, and then when you're reviewing back footage, it's like, wow, we have captured this. But then sometimes it disheartens me, and I feel bad for people that are coming on the events because we're not getting anything. But then that's just the way paranormal goes. It's not. They're not people to do tricks, if you get what I mean. You can't just make them do what they want.
It's not a theatre that you pay a
Yeah.
ticket and you expect to play. Yeah. You turn up, they might turn up, they might not. To be fair, if I was a ghost, I'd probably sit there and be like, I'm not doing anything.
Yeah, back again.
Yeah, not today, busy. Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I can imagine seeing people who, because I think a lot of the time when you do events, that I know from talking to other people, is that you tend to get someone who's a believer, and then you get they're dragged someone along, like a husband, partner, whatever, who's a skeptic, and by the end of it, they usually had something happen that they just can't explain, and then that must be exciting to know that they're going home and being like, well, I was stood here, and then that person moved there, so that couldn't have been them, and then it couldn't have been this, and trying to work it out, and for a fact they've stayed awake all night just trying to rationalize what happened in their head, because I think we've all been there.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that would be really exciting. So you said that you've seen a balance of good and bad, which I think is really important to talk about, because I know that when I speak to people about what I do, they immediately go to that Hollywood brain and they're like, oh, you're going to get in trouble, the devil's going to come and get you and all the rest of it. But there is a balance, isn't there, between places? Like,
I think there's that threshold.
There are good and bad.
Yeah, definitely. And it's quite a hard one to distinguish as well when you go into an investigation. For example, if it's not on a public night, because normally if we do a public night, we tend to try and do places that we've done before, that we know what kind of activity it is, especially if we've got beginners coming on, people who haven't been before, they're really interested in it, but they haven't witnessed anything. We tend to try and get places for them that, it kind of eases them into it. But as a team, when we go off on our own, it's kind of like, I'm bad for it because I like to go. I like that darker side. I like delving deeper and trying to push the boundaries to see what reality is, if you like, whether there is that actual dark side. Like, if you get what I mean, like, is the devil real? But I wouldn't say I'm like satanic or anything like that.
No.
But no, but I do.
Just
like,
so everyone knows, Charlie isn't okay.
No. But when I go into like investigations and we assess the situation, we try approaching a gentle response, respectable, especially if we don't know whether there's any child spirits there or what have you. But then there's also that point when it comes to, right, nothing's happening. What's my next strategy? What's my next move? And then I'll try and push it a little bit and kind of not be really disrespectful, but put some words out there that will try and provoke an entity to come forward, an energy to react to what I'm saying. And sometimes it's not, I wouldn't even say it's the bad experience of an energy that's like a demon or anything like that. It's just simply been to some places and there's been like grumpy old men that have been really made it really known that they don't want you there, or like leave me alone type of thing. And it's just that, this whole demon devil thing, I think, is, as you say, too much Hollywood. It's Americanized. It's used too much in the paranormal. I don't know. I push them boundaries for what I like to do. But then also I've got Roxanne on the shoulder. She's like, you be careful. We've got, we got kids. We got to think of that. That. So, I don't want to bring anything home with me or anything like that, which I have had happen before. But it's a tough one. For myself, I'll push the boundaries, but when I'm with the team or, guests, we'll be respectful and we'll try and delve deeper for the softer spirits and try and get a nice communication.
Yeah, I always laugh because whenever I go into something, I'm always really respectful and like, we're here for respect, so you can treat us with the same, etc., etc. And then at Free Spirit Talker always gets things like, you are nice, you are respectful. And I'm like, they like me because I'm nice to them. And then you get like the rest of the team coming in and be like, oi.
Yeah.
You know the ones I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They know the ones I'm talking about.
No, but yeah, it's just one of those. I think you've got to assess it when you get into a building. And just where the night takes you, to be fair.
Yeah, and I think, like you said about the grumpy old men that you go into somewhere and they're like obviously telling you to leave and stuff. I think people forget as well that some people don't realise that they are actually dead, and to them you're kind of walking in into their property.
Yeah.
Which, if someone walked into our house now and said like, "I'm here," you'd be like, "Get out."
Yeah.
It's the same kind of thing.
It is. We had a great. I re-put the story up the other day. We do Chirk Mill, and to be fair, when you look on it, it's not really active in getting like responses or getting equipment active going off or stuff like that. You get like the little bangs and getting stuff like that. But when I reviewed the footage back and we were asking the question, so what we do is like a phone experiment. So like we'll have one person downstairs, we'll ring another phone, we'll leave it up in the attic, left a camera on it, and then we'd ask questions from the base room through the phone to in the attic with the camera rolling and see if we hear anything. Now, when you're on the other end of the phone, all you're hearing is like, as if it's like static or anything. But then when you review it back, some of the responses we had, I believe Andy was with us, and he said, if you can hear us or want to speak to us, can you knock on the table? Bang, a knock. And then it was a case at the end, Katie, one of the team members, she went, are we allowed to come back here? If you like us, are we allowed to come back here? And I just went, me being me, I'd laugh now if it said no, F off, And a man's voice come through, went, yes, like you could come back. So it's like as if it's trying to say to us, yeah, you're welcome here, you've been respectful, I don't mind you coming back. So it's a place that I do now that I've actually got a solo investigation there on my own in September. So that's going to be brilliant.
God, you're a bit brave, aren't you? I think that would take me more than 10 years to get to that point. I'd be like, last day on Earth, and I'd be like, right, today's the day. Yeah. I'm going to do it.
Mad at me. We could be out on an investigation somewhere and I'm gone. And she's like, where's he gone? Where's he gone? And I'm just wandering off in the dark somewhere. I'm gone. Like, I just like to do my own thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think some people do, though, don't they? They're just like to I think some of the ones in our team, they do it, and it's just because they're so like curious as to what will happen if we're isolated.
Yeah.
Because you're suddenly vulnerable, and what happens, and you haven't got anyone else making any noise or anything, or any other equipment or anything, so you've got that whole like immersive experience of you being totally alone, which I've done a solo in an aircraft hangar at the Air Museum, and it didn't quite pan out how Liam intended it to, because he'd been in there to like wind everyone up. And I could hear him to start with. Him and Mike went in there, and Sarah and I were in the hangar next to them, and we could hear all this like sort of German music, bombing raids and all the rest of it, and them shouting like, the Germans are coming, get to your vehicles, like really provoking them and stuff. And I was like, he's doing that on purpose because he knows I've got to be in there for an hour by myself later tonight. But he had to go in another hangar, so when he went into his hangar, I went into mine, so we were doing them at the same time, and nothing was happening for me. And I was just in there like, oh, well, this is a bit quiet. Like, if I've got to spend an hour in here, absolutely nothing happening in the freezing cold. And then I heard over the walkie-talkies like go out, and so I went back, and mine was at the far end, so I walked, and Liam's was right at the beginning. And just as I got to his hangar, he came bursting out the door and like vomited. And I was like, well, that obviously didn't work out for you. I was like, they just obviously thought you were a pain, so they decided to come and hang out with you for the evening. So I was like, that worked out quite well for me. But it's weird how they affect like different people, isn't it, in different ways.
Yeah.
So far, touch wood, I've been quite lucky in the affected thing, but I do I feel like I put armor on a lot of the time because I have like so much protection jewelry, crosses, a St. Benedict, you know, I've got my sage and my dragon's blood and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
So I like to keep safe, and I have my prayers and my guides and everything else. So, but I know someday that probably won't be enough, and I'll go somewhere and something will happen. It's bound to if you keep putting yourself in situations, but we know what's going to happen, and we put ourselves there anyway, don't we?
Yeah, you're asking for it, aren't you?
Yeah, but I'm not technically asking for it. If anyone is listening on the other side, I'm not asking for it, so don't like freely give it. But I'm just saying, if we put ourselves in these situations, you know, something's going to happen, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
But I don't know what your opinion is on this, because I've had this well, it's not really an argument, like discussion with people before, because they say about us going to all these haunted places where we're putting ourselves in that position. But there must be so many people that go to places like National Trust, English Heritage, those type of places, you know, someone's house for the weekend and it's haunted, or a hotel. They put themselves in places and they don't know the history behind these buildings.
Yeah.
So they're putting themselves in situations where they don't really know what could happen. At least we're kind of prepared in a way, I suppose, as to what could potentially happen.
Well, you don't know, do you? You know, nobody, like you said, nobody knows the history, what the dwelling was many years before that building existed there. And you got to remember, many moons ago, there wasn't these buildings that we have now. It was farmlands. It was, you know, like mosses, you know, swamps and stuff like that. That the people used to live in villages. And what would they do with the bodies? Do you know what I mean? That have passed away, sadly. They would have buried them, or they, you know, or they would have cremated them, I suppose. And you know, they say that energy, your body, your soul is an energy, and that energy can't move on. It just sits with the earth. So yeah, I think going into anywhere, you know, just taking a walk in the woods, I suppose, as well. You know, we don't know what's on that land. We don't know what's there. We don't know what's happened before. If there's been a new build, there's been accidents, there's been fires, there's been murders. You know, none of us can really say when we go to a place that it's not potentially haunted, or we're not going to get affected, or something's not going to happen to us just because we're in a hotel. You know, because we're in an established place or a National Trust place. It's just one of those. I think, you know, wherever you go, you're going to expect you. I wouldn't say you got to expect it, because not everywhere it's haunted, but you know, at least have that little bit of sense about you that you could potentially be walking into something that is potentially haunted.
It's the same, I suppose. Like, I always think of it as, if you put yourself anywhere where you could be vulnerable, you know, you could walk it. Like, I could walk into a woods today, and you know, there could be someone who attacks me. Touch wood, this doesn't ever happen, but I'm just using it as an example. Walk into there, and there could be, you know, someone who would attack me. I could walk into a haunted forest, woods, whatever, and nothing happened to me other than me personally being scared because it's dark.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know what could happen, but I suppose there's that, you're putting yourself in a situation. Like, if I went into a woods by myself in the daytime, I'm putting myself in a situation that could end up me just having a nice stroll in the woods, or something happen. So I suppose it's just depends, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, it does, doesn't it? It's, like you said, going into the woods. Who knows what could happen? Obviously, touch wood, like you said, nothing does happen
Yeah,
to you. You decide to go for a
yeah,
walk in the woods. But no, yeah, it's one of those. I suppose it's anywhere and everywhere potentially could be haunted or could have a spirit residing. Whether it's residual, whether it's intelligent, who knows? But yeah, I suppose anywhere you go, you're
yeah,
opening yourself up to that.
yeah. I mean, I went to a really nice hotel. My mum had booked it for us for our honeymoon, wedding night, whatever you call it. And it's a really nice old hotel. And we were staying in a suite, which was like an old stable or something. It was a really old part of the building.
Yeah.
And my husband said that he had a brilliant sleep, like the best sleep he's probably ever had. And all night I was wide awake because I felt like someone was leaning over the bed staring at me. And I was like, this is the most horrible room I've ever stayed in. It's horrendous. I don't want to be here. Like, I was tempted to wake him up and say, can we go home? Because it wasn't that far from our house. I was like, this is awful. But I lasted until the morning. He was like, woke up all like fresh eyed and bushy tailed. And there's me go like, this was awful. I want to go home.
I think I've only ever had one.
So I think sometimes you get that.
One experience I had like that was, believe it or not, in Lancaster Castle. When we went there many years ago, the security allowed us in this location, this part that's normally closed off to public. And I swear to you, it was pitch black. There was about 14 of us in there. And the only vision I had, whether it was just my mentality, my mind running at that time, was like, you ever seen the film Creep?
Mm.
Yeah. So the one that like lives in like that train station, like under the tunnels, that sniffing me up and down, pitch black, and that was a vision I had, and that's how I kind of felt quite awkward and quite scared, to be fair. But I was there, like obviously with Roxanne, and I was like, "Can you sense anything around us?" She was like, "No, I feel okay," and I was like, "Nah." I said, "I feel like there's something just wandering around me, like sniffing my body." And it was a horrible feeling.
Yeah. Oh, that's gross. There's no other word for it other than gross. I would absolutely hate that. Oh, I had something similar where I think I spoke about this the other day. We were in it's always the Air Museum. It's a weird place, but we were all in there watching Dave do a ring experiment on the glass with the infrared light. So there was myself, Mike, Keith, Dave, Liam, Sarah. And Liam and Sarah, she was filming for Facebook, he was filming for TikTok. So they were at a certain angle. And at some point, I could have sworn that Liam came and stood between me and Mike because it felt like someone was there. And I kind of turned and then looked, and Liam was still where he was. And I was like, I swear that was him. And I was like, I don't know what's going on. And afterwards I said to Mike, I was like, did you think that Liam came and stood next to us? And he went, yeah, it felt like someone, like he came and stood next to us, like someone his height. And I was like, yeah, he was still stood at the bottom of the table the whole time. I was like, I'm glad that wasn't just me. But it was one of those things where someone's like, you can tell someone's standing really close to you and you're like, your hair on the back of your neck goes up and you're like get out of my personal space type of thing.
Yeah,
and turned around and no one was there. It was horrible. But I think that place does have a little bit of a doppelganger thing going on
in the Air
It's
Museum.
a bit strange. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you been there?
No, I have spoke to Liam. We're hoping to try and get up this year, I think, to go there. I can't remember. I'm not sure. Have you got one in August or something like that?
I think we've got one pretty much every month of this year.
Yeah.
Liam literally books them all up.
I'm not sure whether it was August or September. And I said we'll try and get down there because I think a Premier Inn not far from there. So
yeah, it's a really good place because I think because it's so large and there's so much history in the place with the objects and the place itself having its own history. It's just like a little, if you had a little potion pot and put all the paranormal stuff in and stirred it around.
that'd be the place to be. Yeah?
That would be it. That would be it. There's probably like a few other places like that. What would you say is like the best place you've ever been?
Oh, see, it depends now on which way I go. Intelligent wise, we're interacting with a spirit that's in intelligent communication would have to be Penrhyn Hall. That's about a 10-minute drive from me. Fantastic building, a big old manor house, and there was a spirit there that we know as called Eleanor. We believe she's the mistress of the house, but she doesn't leave this one room in the dining room, and she'll only react to women. If men speak to her, she will not answer. She thinks men are disrespectful. And so when women speaking in there, the activity goes mental. But then saying that, that's the same place that we kept, like we mentioned earlier on, we kept going back, asking questions, the same questions. She went quiet. And then it was like the case of, I think, it was, she mentioned, are you fed up of us asking the same questions? And all the equipment went off. And it was like she knew what was happening in the house because the centuries that had gone on there, the years of what was changing. She knew who the owner was now, and it was amazing to find out all this information from a spirit.
Yeah, amazing.
Which you wouldn't believe normally, but it just coincided with everything. I think there was once there we had there's children known there to like a boy and a girl, I believe, and we had a radio, what's it called? A spirit box going off by the door, and we asked the children to come and knock on the door and like run away, like almost trying to get her to wind it up because she didn't like children. And they'd knock on the door, and you could hear like children laughter by the door. It was immense. It was amazing. But then on the dark side of things, I would probably say, looking back now, it's between Tatton Old Hall and Pool Park Asylum. Tatton Old Hall, we've had guests there that have witnessed. I saw like a big black claw hand come from round the corner where the stairs was as I was walking towards it, as if it was trying to reach for me. And then there's what we call a room there that's like a portal room, people call it. And it's right at the bottom, the spinning room. And I was there talking, and the guests were behind me in the corridor, and I was goading like I do. And honest to God, Roxanne screamed, and she said what she could only describe was like this big 7-foot black mass come through the door and just walked through me. And I didn't see it. Just you could feel the energy there, but I didn't see it or nothing like that. But the guests even said, no, we witnessed that. It was like a big black shadow that just went straight through you. And I was like, oh right, okay, fair enough. And then there was one in Pool Park Asylum when it was abandoned many years ago. I had what was like a stabbing pain in the side. And I went down on the stairs, and I said, I don't know where it come from. Like I was like, you can't hurt me. And we got a Class A EVP, which actually had a Welsh accent to it, saying I just have done. And then as we were leaving, what I could only describe was this old lady in like a white gown, curly short white hair, and she was following us out the building. And I was getting quite on edge, to be fair. And I was like, so Roxanne, come on, get out.
Like ushering you out.
And I drove, and as I was driving down the drive, driving away, I swear to you now, she was sitting in the back of my car. And
see, that sounds more like a guardian angel experience. Like she was protecting you, like trying to get you out before something else happened to you.
Right.
Because they say guardian angels like appear in people's back seats quite a lot.
Do they?
So I've heard, from like a few things that I've read in the past. So a lot of people say that they like, you know, when people almost have accidents and stuff. Yeah. They'll see in the mirror like someone sitting in their back seat.
So it's mad to say that because I saw her again. It was a couple of weeks later after that. We were travelling, I think, to Tatton Old Hall, and I was on the bypass, and I saw her in the back of the car again, and the car swerved. Um, And to be fair, I thought it was from there, and it kind of freaked me out. It was like, I was like, whoa, what did you swerve for? And I went, look in the back of the car. She went, what do you mean? I said, just look in the back of the car for me, please. And she had a look, and there was nothing there. And I said, that woman from Pool Park Asylum, I said, she was in the car. She was just in the car, in the back of the car. I said, I could see her clear as day in the wing mirror, in the back mirror. I said, she was there. And she was like, there's nothing there. You're just being silly, like, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Other than that, I'd probably say, a few places I've been are really good. Chirp Mill's up there now. But in the terms of that experience and personal experience, I've got to say it's them two places.
They sound really fascinating.
Well, to be
I
fair,
love old buildings.
the owner of Pool Park Asylum, if you have a look on Facebook, just put it in, they've re-renovated it and it looks absolutely beautiful. They're doing it back to the way it used to look, and honest to God, they did such a fantastic job on it. It looks stunning.
I'd love to do that.
I'm hoping if they open it up as possibly like a hotel or something, like, I'd love to go back and stay there.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I really like, one of my things that I watch other than paranormal stuff is people like doing up chateaus in France, because I absolutely love like old buildings, and I think they've got so many stories and history, and that's part of what I really love about doing this and the whole paranormal thing is the stories behind it.
Yeah.
And I would love to like bring a building back to, because I think it's so sad when you see all these abandoned, neglected houses that could be loved again and have memories again and have energy again. And I would love, like, if anyone could like subscribe and like get this monetized so that I could then buy a castle to like do it up and give it another lease of life, that'd be great. I'm not asking much, just
no, just for Dracula Castle.
Yeah, or if anyone just wants to like let me inherit it one day, I'll look after it, I'll renovate it, I'll bring it back to life.
Yeah.
I occasionally put that out on Facebook every now and again. I'll share like a really old abandoned place and be like, one day if I'll inherit something like this, manifesting it. I don't know anyone with a castle, but you never know.
Never know.
Can but hope. So, do you think that there'll be a stage in your life where you ever stop doing this?
There was a stage few years back. We left an old team and stuff wasn't adding up, and I kind of lost the love for it. Then I was going through a few stuff emotional through the family. We've had a lot of stuff happen over the past 5 years, and it's I think it just drained us, and I kind of lost the love for it. And the same as Roxanne, we kind of just stepped away a little bit and only done one then and when we wanted to with friends or whatever. And then I think now it's coming back. I want to do more projects. I wouldn't say so much for Roxanne. She loves doing them, but we always have a laugh when we go on them, whether we have activity or not. But I think since Roxanne losing her mum, it doesn't so much phase her now. She used to go because of her mum. So I think it's just, for me, it's like, I want to be out there now. I want to do more things. I want to do different things. I'm going down different routes and I'm trying different things. So, now that love for it's coming back. Do I ever think I'll fall out of love with it again? Maybe. I never know. Will it come to a point in my life where I get older and it'll be like, right, that's enough. Enough's enough. I don't know, but for the time being, I'm just going to keep doing what I do, what I love, and go from there, really, and see where it takes me.
Yeah. Well, you guys are great at what you do, I have to say. I watch, and I'm excited for when we have our collaborations coming up.
Yeah.
Which is next month, isn't it? Is it next month?
Isn't it 19th of April?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be
Milk.
exciting. Harmony Mill, yeah.
I'm looking forward to doing it and not hosting. Oh, I tell you
Yeah.
what, I was hosting last time when we did it as a public, and I had nothing. I had absolutely nothing. And everybody else, Liam, Matt, Haunted Echoes, they were all getting it. And I'm like, I'm here like, what's happening? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, this is my night. I want it to happen.
But to be fair, I don't mind because it's the same when we do public nights. It's always the same. I'd rather have them witness it and go away experiencing it. I've experienced a lot. Roxanne's experienced, and it's nice. To be fair, I think when we do these public nights now, it's the buzz of. I wouldn't use teaching because that's quite wrong to use, but I'd say like guiding people and giving them ways of doing different things and trying different methods and
Yeah.
I'm open to all kind of things. I'm not a massive believer in dowsing rods, but then if you go back to the Victorian age, dowsing rods were what they used to use, seances and stuff like that. So it's kind of like I'm taking a step back to that old type of thing as well, and not using as much equipment. But I love to see people witness stuff and ask questions and gain knowledge from it. That's what I love to do now, and it's brilliant when you get activity and you see people smile or go away. I don't know what happened. I can't explain that. And
Yeah.
I had a guy come with us. I work with him, and he's not a believer at all. He's like, yeah, whatever, it's a load of nonsense. But his girlfriend wanted to come for her son's birthday, and they came and they witnessed stuff, and he was like, yeah, mate, that was brilliant. I'm going to have to come on another one. I was like, you don't believe it? Yeah. And he was like, yeah, there was some stuff there that I couldn't explain. And I was like, yeah, that's how it is.
He'll be joining the team before you know it. That always happens.
Yeah.
Especially with our team, it seems that somebody will bring someone along, and then before you know it, they're at every investigation that we're doing. I think our team's like expanding. We'll be taking up the whole of bloody Northumberland at some point. Yeah, it's I think you have, like you said before, you have to be in the right frame of mind for these things.
Yeah.
Because I think if you have, like, you're having dark times or low times, your energy is gonna like attracts like, doesn't it? Well,
Yeah.
I believe it does. So
Yeah.
I think what you put in, you will get out of
Yeah.
the situation the same as everything else. So I would say, like, if anyone is having, like, really bad time, mental health issues or something, don't put yourself in that place. You have to be in the right frame of mind. I think it's important to like be careful, isn't it? Because
definitely
you've got to look after yourself and everyone else that's kind of there as well.
Well, that's it. You're responsible for everybody that's there, so it's kind of one of those, if you're going to do it. But for me now, that's my therapy. Ghost hunting, I don't know what it is. It's, I could be struggling 1 minute. If I'm going on a ghost hunt, my mind switches, and I'm like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'm let's do this now. I want to get out there. I want to investigate. I want to do this. I want to do that. So for me, it's that kind of therapy, and I love it. Mm-hmm. Whether I lose that love, I don't know, but only time will tell.
Yeah, I think it's like everything, isn't it? Like, I mean, is it a hobby? I wouldn't really call it a hobby. I'd call it more like a life purpose than a hobby.
Yeah.
It's all consuming. Like I feel that for me anyway, that literally ghosts have followed me all my life, and now at 40 I've always struggled with what my life purpose is, and then suddenly I was like, oh, my life purpose is everything that I've been running from all my life. And it makes sense as to why it's always been following me and like slapping me in the face, literally.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it is more of a purpose than anything else. But I have to wonder whether one day I might be able to drag my husband along and see whether I can make him a believer. Because if he believes, then it's game over, guys. If he starts believing in ghosts, then 100% there's no denying the paranormal exist. He's the like defining on the scale of skeptic and believer. There's him. at the top. It's probably him in the dictionary if you look up the word skeptic. It's there, a picture of him. But I don't think I'll ever get him on one, but we can but see. I keep trying to get him to take me to Chillingham Castle, but he won't.
Or is it that he's scared?
No, I think it's just that he just doesn't want to see me like doing all my crazy stuff.
I've never seen this side of you before, and I don't like it.
Yeah, well, he came home the other day and I was halfway through saging the house and he just looked at me and was like, ugh. Like, just get on with it. It's me like, bye, negative energy. I'm like, oh, you'll thank me for it one day. You'll feel the benefits. That's what I always say. Oh dear, oh dear. Well, I'm very excited for next month when we get to go to Albany Mills, and it'll be interesting because there's going to be a hell of a lot of us there, isn't there? From what I remember.
I know some of Haunted Echoes are going, aren't they?
Yeah.
I don't know how many of them are going. I believe Ian's going.
Yeah.
There'll be me, Roxanne, and Katie. Kay's not coming now because they've just had a new dog. So stay home for that. She's had a new French bulldog.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, he is. He's Patrick, his name is. He's lovely.
Oh, what a cool name.
And then I'm not sure. I think, is Paraman there, Daryl? I'm not sure. I seen something the other day.
He might be.
No, he couldn't get there. I'm not too sure. But yeah, there is quite a few of us going. Yeah, it's. I think it's a big team collab, isn't it?
Yeah, it'll be a good night.
Yeah.
We will be all streaming it live on various platforms. Just follow any of us and you'll see it.
Yeah.
You'll see different angles of it from like all different sides, which I think is quite good because you get other people's perspective, don't you, of like what's going on. The only trouble is you can't watch all of us at the same time.
No.
Unless you've got like a tablet, a TV, a laptop.
We all just link up our lives together.
Yeah. It's almost like, you need some kind of like streaming service where you could have like, you know, when you look at CCTV and they've got like different cameras, a bit like that. I don't know if anything like that exists. If there does, let us know in the comments because this will go out before then and we'll be able to see it and we'll be able to do it for you. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Right, so what we're going to do to finish this fabulous episode off, I am going to get some quick fire round questions for you. So it's kind of this or that situation, a would you rather situation type thing.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Put me on the spot now.
I know, yeah. Limber up, do some stretches.
Get ready.
Get ready. EVP or spirit box?
EVP.
Urban legends or historical hauntings?
Historical hauntings.
Poltergeists or shadow figures?
Poltergeist.
I think I'd probably go poltergeist as well. I think if I saw a shadow figure, I'd run away.
I've seen shadow poltergeist. I think because it's everybody portrays poltergeist as a bad spirit. It's not. It's just a noisy spirit. So led to believe. And that
I'd like to make myself known.
It's just a noisy spirit that's just got more energy than others.
Yeah. I think how clumsy I am sometimes that my husband might think there's a poltergeist in the house, like when I go let the dogs out.
Just knock the lamp off. Say, oh, don't worry, it's only John. Who's John?
Yeah. Just start naming random people rather than actually take credit for it myself.
Yeah.
It's not a bad idea, actually. He watches this, though, so I might have to cut that bit out. I don't know what my plan is. Just start blaming it on a random spirit. Investigate alone or with a team?
Oh, see, I love my team. And I got to give a lot of credit to Roxanne and Katie. They're absolutely fantastic. And they bring a really good dynamic to the team. But I also love going alone, and probably alone would push it a bit more.
Yeah. He loves you guys, but he'd rather
I'm
be
off on my
alone in
own.
the basement by himself. Yeah.
Yeah, that's typically how it happens.
Yeah. Ouija board or dowsing rods?
I'm not a big believer in both, but I'd have to say Ouija board because I haven't really used dowsing rods, so I couldn't answer that proper. So Ouija boards, I'd say on that one.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of dowsing rods, and then I bought some because I felt like I should. I don't know why. And then we used them on one of the trams, and the answers they were getting. I mean, I asked them to point where this lady spirit is, and it literally they turned to where her chair is meant to be and where she
Oh,
sits, and the temperature thing went off on the chair, like just as it happened.
it's
And I
mad,
was
isn't
like,
it?
well, that's pretty, out there. So they've been pretty
Yeah.
impressive the times that I've
Well,
used them.
like,
Debunk
yeah,
first.
I've said to we need to, yeah, always. And I said to our team, we need to get different things for people who come on the nights to try and experiment and enjoy. Everybody's got their own way of investigating, and I'm not
Yeah.
one to judge. So, if you want to use an app, you use an app. If you want to use dowsing rods, you use dowsing rods. If you want to use a pendle, you use a pendle.
Yeah, you've got to use what you feel drawn to and what you're comfortable with, I
Yeah.
think. Debunk first or believe first?
Debunk first, always.
Yeah. What do you think's most haunted? Old asylums or a dense forest?
A dense forest. And it might seem strange saying that, but asylums haven't been around as long as dense forests. And like we mentioned earlier
That's
on,
very true.
think how many bodies could be in them forests.
Yeah. Mike and I are really trying our hardest to try and find an old asylum to go to. Nobody else seems that keen, and I don't think Mike should be that keen given his history, but
I'm not sure if I come across one yesterday. Actually, looking, it might be closer to where you live.
Ooh.
Have a look later. I'll send it over to you.
Yeah, please do. I don't think Mike should be that excited about it.
No, Mike shouldn't be excited about it at all.
Mike is the troublemaker.
Mike's the one that gets targeted.
Yeah. He's every time I investigate, we have such a laugh together when we investigate with each other, like when we're put into a team, and we do often cause a little bit of trouble. So I think that's sometimes why we're not allowed to work together, especially if you give us walkie-talkies. And then I always say to him, and I was like, not on my watch. Not on my watch is anything going to happen to you. The minute he starts pushing it, I'm like, oi, behave. There's been one time I've been like this, like snapping at him, and that was we were in some house, and there was like Yvonne at one end, Mike at the other, and me in the middle, and it was like it was playing ping pong between both of them, and I was like this the whole night, like, stop it. It's hard work trying to keep these people safe sometimes. Right, skeptic who joins your team or a full believer with no experience?
Possibly say a skeptic.
Yeah, because I think they bring something good to the team, don't they? Would you rather record a ghost hunt at 3 a.m, or would you rather be reviewing your evidence at midnight?
Recording at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, reviewing in the morning.
Yeah. If a portal opens, do you walk through it, or would you slam it shut?
Oh, walk through it. You've got to see what's in that. You've got to see what's beyond the portal.
It'd be too tempting, wouldn't it? I'd probably just stick an arm in, or like my head, and just see what was going on before I fully jumped in, maybe. But
just pop your head.
Yeah, to be like, no, that's not a place I want to be going.
Yeah.
Shut the door. So, time for the profound question.
Mm.
If the veil between the living and the dead dropped completely just for 1 hour, and you could ask one question to the other side and get a truthful answer, what would you ask?
Oh no, that's a good question.
Oh, I thank you.
No, that is a good question. Well, that's a tough one as well because there'd be so much you'd want to ask.
Hmm.
Is there life after death?
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good one. I
it
think
would.
everyone would want to know the answer to that, wouldn't they?
There's a lot of people lost a lot of loved ones that would want to, are they there? Are they there? But I think does your life go on after death?
Yeah, yeah. See, I always worry that if an opportunity like that came to me, I'd I'd do something really stupid, like my brain wouldn't function quick enough, and I'd be like, "Can you tell me where my watch is? Because I've lost it and I don't know." I would ask something really stupid or random because my brain just wouldn't be quick enough to think of something like, "I need an answer that will change like the world." I'd be like, "Where's my lip balm? I lost it." Yeah. No, it's a good question. I think a lot of people would want to know, what actually happens to us after we've disappeared.
Yeah.
Well, we don't really disappear, I don't think.
No, I think it's our energy that lingers on it. Roxanne has a good view on after you die. I'm sure she read it somewhere. I've seen it. The theory is that you live once you've passed. So, for example, say like her nan passed. Her nan lives all that life again on the other side, and then now
Mm.
her mum's passed. Her mum lives all her life, and her nan's passed on. And then when Roxanne passes on, not for a long time, hopefully, touch wood,
Yeah.
she will then live her life, and then their spirits of like her nan and her mum or her great nan, they reincarnate. Um,
Hmm.
and she also like the belief of when they say the baby sees the light coming out and somebody's dying and goes towards the light, is that them reincarnating into another body?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you a really good book that's about reincarnation is a book called Many Lives, Many Masters.
Mm,
And he's a guy who's like a therapist, and he has this patient who's got all these kind of problems that keep like happening no matter what she does, and he has read about past life regression, so he
yeah,
decides to do it on her, and it turns out that she's lived like 40 different lives, and she keeps like regressing them in every session that she has, and it turns out that certain people in her life now that are causing certain issues were in her previous lives at some point as a brother, a father, whatever.
yeah,
And she can like relay it all, and the whole book's full of like these accounts. And that is the book that made me not even question whether we get reincarnated or have had past lives. It's an incredible book. So
have a look.
everyone should get that book. It'll change your life.
Yeah, you have to send me a link of it. I'll have a look.
Oh well, it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I think he's written another one as well because that whole thing changed his life and his career because he couldn't deny, what he'd witnessed any longer. So he like fully went into reincarnating regression therapy, I think they call it.
Yeah.
So he kind of went down that avenue. But yeah, it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I'll send you the link to it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So thank you for being on here. It's been great. I think we've spoken about some really interesting, deep topics as well, which is always good.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think, that's why I love doing these podcasts because you get like so many different perspectives and like stories, and you never know where they're going to go and what you're going to talk about. And it's brilliant. I love it. No doubt we'll get into some deep conversations when we see each other next month.
Yep.
And whether I have any weird, wonderful, wacky premonitions beforehand, who knows? Whether I run out of the building and crying, who knows? We shall see. We'll keep you posted. We might have to do another episode like afterwards of like telling everyone what happened while we were there, and just like have a few different people on to give their perspective. That would be quite interesting.
Yeah.
We'll have to give that a go. Fabulous. Well, thanks everyone for listening. Charlie, if people want to find you and the team, where do they need to go?
So for Midnight Paranormal, we're on socials of Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and the same with the Darkness Unveils podcast. That's on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. So yeah, if you want to head out and check out, guys, very much appreciate it. Thank you for the support.
Head over there. I will drop all the links in the description as well, so you can go follow Charlie and his crew. And thank you, everyone, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you for joining me on this journey into the unknown on Shell's After Dark archives. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a story that sends chills down your spine. I'd love to hear about your own paranormal experiences, so drop a comment or send me a message. Your story might even be featured in a future episode, and if you're loving the show, please leave a like and share it with your fellow seekers of the supernatural. For those who want even more exclusive content, behind-the-scenes insights, and bonus episodes, join the membership. You'll find the link in the description below. Your support keeps the lights off and the stories coming. Until next time, stay curious, stay brave, and keep exploring the shadows. See you in the archives, after dark.